recoveries now stand at 43,626. Currently, 1,289 patients are still admitted at various health facilities across the country, with 57 patients at the ICU and 18 at the high dependency unit. According to the statement from the Ministry of Health, there are 2,148 health workers who have tested positive for the virus and include 1,087 males and 1,061 females. One more health worker has succumbed to the virus, bringing the total to 23 health workers who have died from the virus since the pandemic struck the country. To try and flatten the curve, the government has scaled up its crackdown on those flouting the regulations outlined by the Ministry of Health to fight the pandemic. A number of eateries in Muranga were closed and public service vehicles operators nabbed on Wednesday for failing to adhere to the state measures. Some lacked requisite documents from the Ministry of Health for reopening restaurants. Others failed to observe social distancing as PSVs violated the passenger limit number.
People have stopped wearing the nose mask. They have stopped even washing their hands with soaps. And even they have stopped the social distance in the process of eatery.
Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio operation tumeendelea nayo siku ya leo. Tunawapeleka kotini na pia wale walikuwa wameweka mfuko, wengine wanaweka kwa kichwa, wengine kwa shingo, wamefaa. Wale wana kabisa ile kidogo tuko nayo tunashare. Ndiposa tusije tukawa sisi pia tuko kwa hatari.
More than 250 people were arrested for failing to wear face masks, and those arraigned in court were forced to part with 2,000 shillings for freedom. Kamchemenza for Channel 1 News.
On the BBI debate, senators are seeking a common voice as they forge forward, building a consensus on amendments they want to be included in the Building Bridges Initiative report ahead of a possible referendum. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the Senate insists that the Senate must retain its oversight power over counties and that of the National Assembly that will incorporate the expanded executive.
The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the Senate is now proposing a raft of amendments in the Building Bridges constitutional reforms in the aim of strengthening the mandate of the Senate. Tabling the motion in the House, JLAC Chairperson Okongo Omogeni says that despite supporting the constitutional changes, they insisted that the composition of the Senate should remain as it is and oppose the creation of women's seats.
That the proposal to delete Article 123 from the Constitution should be disregarded and the prevailing position be retained so that senators who are delegates from counties are allowed to cast their votes as delegates.
A proposal which divided down the House, with female leaders saying they stand to gain more leadership positions as per the report.
So what I am opposing is the fact that we want to tamper with the gains that we are making, and we must know that Kenya belongs to all of us. We need each other.
So, Madam Speaker, I beseech our colleagues that the 47, if we wanted an amendment, we should say that if they are moving, let them move with the funds, if that is what they want them to do.
This is a live wire material that we need to speak to. And in support of BBI or not in support of BBI, whichever the way, we need to be given as senators time to scoop this matter, please.
Their male counterparts, however, question the motive of the proposal, saying it does not aim to enhance the House.
But I want to encourage us that this House is under assault. This House is under attack. And to destroy this House is to destroy devolution. And we should not give our detractors an opportunity to see that we don't speak with one voice and assault us even more.
The other 5 positions, you're voting on the basis of the strength of an individual. How comes it is only the Senate that you want to reduce it to be voted on the basis of gender, where you're voting a man and a woman? If you feel that you want to be completely inclusive, then pass on the same provision right from member of county assembly all the way to the president.
With the BBI proposing that the cabinet ministers to be picked from the National Assembly, JLAC is proposing to have the mandate to vet the cabinet nominees and also have powers to summon them.
Now that we have rearrangement of the executive, Madam Speaker, there should be clarity Madam Speaker, that to enhance the oversight role of the Senate, the Prime Minister and all cabinet ministers should be allowed to appear before the Senate to respond to questions on accountability as may be raised by the Senate.
Senate is also not comfortable to have National Assembly have a say in the division of revenue, given that the executive will be part of the House. Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
And still on the BBI debate, a section of church leaders have threatened to mobilize their congregation against the Building Bridges Initiative report, saying their proposals were not incorporated. The clergy under the Kenya Council of Church Alliances and Ministries are opposing the composition of electoral management body. The leaders also say contentious provisions on legalization of abortion, homosexuality and threat to religious freedom were not exhausted in the 2010 Constitution and also in the BBI report.
The evangelical leaders say it is unfortunate that after raising concerns about the 2010 Constitution, none of their issues were captured and have also been ignored in the Building Bridges Initiative's final draft. The clergy is opposing the proposal on the electoral management body, saying its composition from the BBI proposals will not guarantee the country free and fair elections. They want the report to bar political players from nominating commissioners to IEBC.
The only cure is by carrying an in-depth audit in the electoral system and ensuring that all the proposed reforms are implemented to the letter.
If it means extending the term of the current government to create room for the BBI to be debated and to build these bridges, we would go for that.
The clergy also agreed to proposals on increase of revenue allocation to counties from 15 to 35%, saying it will enhance national development. But they called on the two handshake principles to open the document for dialogue.
What eventually we are going to do is that we are going to rally behind ourselves, the church, to come together and say from the church, we are now presenting a candidate in every constituency who will have the interest of the church. And we have the capacity and the ability to do that.
We are seeking an audience. We have had that before, but we are seeking for another audience because of the speed at which this process is being hurried. We are concerned and a bit skeptical.
Very much. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
Elsewhere, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has warned leaders against misuse of the internet in spreading hate as the nation prepares for a possible referendum and the 2020 general election. NCIC Commissioner Abdulaziz Farah said social media had become the main conveyor of hate messages and incitement, cautioning perpetrators that they will face the law. Speaking in Nakuru during a consultative meeting with officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation (DCI) and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution (DPP), NCIC Commissioner Abdulaziz Farah said Kenya must stand on the path of peace.
All of us as Kenyans, individually, collectively, in all sectors, from the media, from the political class, from the business class, and everybody, so that we don't lose our country and we don't go back to where we were in 2007 and 2008.
Farah noted that as the country stares for a possible referendum and 2022 general elections, no one will be allowed to perpetuate hate.
We call upon all leaders, specifically the political leaders, to be responsible and not to mind only their selfish interest that will finally make Kenya bleed.
Pointing Nakuru County as among the violence-prone areas, Farah said the commission was changing tact and employing more sophisticated approach in their operations to monitor political gatherings so as to filter out hate mongers.
We are so much concerned about Nakuru, and we have focused on Nakuru tremendously as a region that we want to make sure Kenyans don't kill one another.
Similar sentiments were echoed by the Nakuru County Criminal Investigating Officer Michael Mwenze and Vincent Monda from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, who said that they were committed to have a peaceful country.
Our message is that those people, those group, they should desist from those utterances that can bring about, they can stir contempt, ethnic contempt, and therefore, being that Nakuru is a cosmopolitan county and with very many of the ethnic groups, it's very easy for such thing to happen if incited.
The DPP is in a position to prosecute hate speech and related crimes in any part of this country. So our message is that we are ready and raring to go insofar as hate speech and related crimes is concerned.
And NCIC has also embarked on sensitizing the police and court prosecutors on how to deal with hate speech and ethnic contempt cases. NCIC Commissioner Wamboi Nyabuto said the National Police Service curriculum does not entail training on hate speech and ethnic contempt.
We're also recruiting cohesion monitors, people who will always be on the ground in all counties, in all constituencies, everywhere, so that they can be there to record the evidence and to be able to even help deter issues of hate speech. We have also supplied the police with the body cameras in which they will use them to record anything that may be deemed as hate speech, and thus preserve the evidence and be able to present it before the court.
Nyabuto said getting convictions for hate mongers was a challenge because of shallow investigations and preservation of evidence. President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to deliver the 2020 State of the Nation address to a joint sitting of the National Assembly and the Senate tomorrow. This year's address was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic, and the key issues expected to top the President's address include Building Bridges Initiative report, the COVID-19 pandemic, and taking stock of the Big Four agenda, and also the war on corruption.
In accordance with Article 132 of the Constitution that requires the head of state to address Parliament every year, President Kenyatta is scheduled to address the nation Thursday to reassure the country on efforts in realizing his legacy-defining projects. Top on the list will be the Big Four agenda, where the President will likely take stock of the efforts made by his administration in to actualize his programs. With the ongoing BBI debate, the President may also root for Building Bridges Initiative report, which he believes will deliver equity and national unity. President will also report to Parliament the measures taken to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, which has negatively affected the economy of the country. The head of state will also highlight the progress by his government on war against graft, as well as progress made in fulfillment of international obligations and state of security. President Uhuru has in the past delivered the address between the month of March and May. Last year, President Uhuru gave the address on 4th April, unlike this year's address, which has been delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The House attendance will be in compliance with the social distancing directive by the Ministry of Health, with only 114 members of Parliament expected to attend the sitting. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
And tune in to KBC Channel 1 from 10 a.m. for a live coverage of events leading to the state address. Elsewhere, the National Treasury has pledged to secure a waiver of the Japanese debt owed by the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, KBC. The undertaking was made during a virtual meeting held between the Senate Standing Committee on Information and Technology, the Ministry of ICT, and the Ministry of Treasury on the status of the state broadcaster. The debt that runs into the tune of 79.9 billion shillings dates back to the 1980s.
The National Treasury today signaled its intent to spearhead the writing off of the 79 billion shilling Japanese loan given to KBC over 30 years ago.
I only want to confirm that the PS has actually agreed to write off the loan from the Japan, which was guaranteed by Treasury. And we are happy to hear that KBC has now a strategic plan because we had said initially that we needed a strategic plan so that we can look at the debts one-off instead of piecemeal. I will be happy to receive the strategic plan so that we can start working and moving the way forward.
Chief Administrative Secretary in the National Treasury, Nelson Gaishuhie, was briefing the Senate Committee on ICT in a virtual meeting that was also addressed by the Cabinet Secretary for ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs, Joe Musheru.
If there are universal service obligations and there is a fund for universal service, is it doable to then perhaps support them from that particular fund, which has literally the same name as the obligations they have as universal services to the citizens?
What we have been looking at from a ministry and also discussing the Treasury is how much money does KBC require to be the national broadcaster and reach every Kenyan. So we provide that money from the National Treasury, as opposed to providing this money through the various different business programs or the Universal Service Fund, where they're supposed to also be contributing.
The board and management of KBC have a very clear vision, very clear, strategy for transformation. And we beg the indulgence of government, we beg the support of government to support us through the government to implement this strategy.
Writing off of the debt, which has for decades yoked Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, will be initiated through a sessional paper being tabled in Parliament for approval. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, Kenya has received a total of 700 million shillings grant from the United Kingdom government to finance a digital cash transfer program. The money is set to assist 52,700 vulnerable people living in urban informal settlement in Mombasa and Nairobi cities. Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Simon Chilugui says the support from the Boris Johnson administration will go a long way in ensuring vulnerable people in the community improves their livelihoods in the post-COVID-19 pandemic period.
With thousands of Kenyans having lost their jobs and left vulnerable due to the outbreak of coronavirus in the country, Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says the government has scaled up its existing cash transfer programs targeting the vulnerable.
I am glad to note that UK government availed a grant of 5 million sterling pounds, or approximately Kenya shillings 700 million, to finance a digital cash transfer program, which is expected to cover 52,700 vulnerable people living in urban informal settlements in the two cities of Mombasa and Nairobi. I'm told 10,000 out of this will be in Mombasa. I'm aware the program is already being implemented and will run for 3 months.
While launching the UK Urban Transfer Program in response to COVID-19 pandemic in Kenya, CS Chelugui lauded the initiative, which he said has turned around many lives of the vulnerable population in the country.
So you can imagine, if this intervention of Give Direct, the British government did not support, where will these 52,700 be? They could easily be in our streets. They could easily be in our homes, knocking, marking, and even causing further social challenges.
Chelugui said the Labour Ministry has seen a total of 166.9 billion shillings disbursed to 1.2 million poor households to date across the country, with each beneficiary household receiving 1,000 shillings on weekly basis through mobile money transfer. The 700 million shillings grant from the United Kingdom government will run for a period of 3 months and will target senior citizens, orphans, the extremely poor, and those with severe disabilities.
That this is what is needed to really drive economic recovery and get people back working. The support we're announcing today is really a temporary measure to fill that gap, to support those people that are most affected by the pandemic, who have lost livelihoods, who have lost their jobs, who are living in informal settlements, urban areas. That is the support that we're providing. It is only a temporary solution. The future is to regenerate, to reopen and get Kenya back working again.
Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
To the corridors of justice now, a managing director of a city company has denied attempting to defraud Naivas supermarkets of over 33 million shillings. It is alleged that Eric Kingori Masharia, an employee of Achivo Company Limited, conspired with others to defraud the chain stores of the money on diverse dates between January and September 2020. Nairobi Senior Principal Magistrate Mariam Abdul released Masharia on a cash bail of $500,000 shillings with an alternative bond of 3 million shillings. Eric Kingori Masharia appeared before Nairobi Senior Principal Magistrate Mariam Abdul and pleaded not guilty to one count of conspiracy to defraud Naivas supermarkets of 33,808,985 shillings in his capacity as the Managing Director at Achivo Company Limited. He was released on bail after prosecution failed to oppose the terms. The case will be consolidated with another where the finance manager is also charged with a similar offense and mentioned on November the 24th. Elsewhere, 2 National Bank of Kenya employees were arraigned at the Kiambu Law Courts and charged with conspiracy to commit a felony contrary to Section 393 of the Penal Code. Edward Omariba and Stanley Kanyugi are alleged to have withdrawn money from the account of a deceased man without the knowledge from the family. They allegedly withdrew 1,130,000 shillings from the account of Duncan Wathugi held at the National Bank of Kenya on November 3, 2020. The two denied the charges and were released on a bond of 300,000 shillings with a similar surety. And at the same court, an Italian man captured on camera assaulting a woman last Sunday has been charged. Mauricio Montcalli denied assaulting Jaroka Magdalene Michalina at Edenville Estate in Kiambu County and was released on a 20,000 shillings cash bail with the case set for mention on January 21, 2021. Fisherfolk along Sori Beach in Migori County are decrying unavailability of preservation equipment for their daily catch. They claim in the past 2 months they have incurred losses running into millions of shillings as fish decompose following poor weather conditions and lack of fish dryers. They want the government to intervene and salvage their only source of livelihood.
Sori Beach in Migori County is a rich source of fish. Residents here mostly rely on fishing for livelihood, but all is not well here. The fishing community is decrying losses due to lack of fish preservation equipment and a market. They claim promises by the national government to provide fish drying equipment are yet to be fulfilled.
Watoto wetu wakienda kuvua ziwani wanapata shida, wanapigwa huko, wengine wanakufia huko tu.
A support so that we can dry they can buy for us dryer to dry our daga during rainy season, so we don't run at a loss.
Omena ikilala inaanuka mpaka huyo president mwenyewe akikuja hapa haizi kaa kwa sababu harufu.
Daga yenyewe wakati hatuna jua daga haikauki. Hiyo tuna hasara mara ya kwanza kwa sababu isipokauka ile bei ungeuza ikiwa imekauka inapungua.
According to the chairman, Justus Sabare of the Sori Beach Management Unit, their economy is controlled by the sale of daga, also known as omena.
The county government to help us have dryer system in Sori Beach so that the catch which is being caught here should not go to waste.
Usually, the daily catch is 2 tons and may go up to 3.1 during peak seasons. He, however, says majority of the fish goes to waste during rainy seasons.
It is taken dry in wet one, 1,000 per basin in the morning. When it does not dry, then it will come and be sold around 700 up or 800.
While decline in sale of daga has also negatively impacted fishing activities, fishermen say the situation is further worsened by harassment from pirates and Ugandan security officers.
Shaenda barini, tunapata zingine wagaizi wasatuingia, tunapigwa, tunapokonywa masini, watu wanapigwa sana. Baada ya hiyo tena Tukisonga mbele pia tunakutana Waganda.
Information, Communication and Technology Principal Secretary Jerome Ochieng is urging border riders across the country to form a revolving kit for their economic empowerment. Elsewhere, the family of a 15-year-old girl from Ogito Nyatike sub-county in Migori County is seeking justice after she was allegedly defiled and impregnated by a pastor. These and more stories in news-making headlines in the counties coming up next.
According to ICT Principal Secretary Jerome Ochieng, border riders greatly contribute to the economy and should be empowered financially. Ochieng, who spoke on Wednesday in Busia during the launch of National Border Association, said the government will work hand in hand with the sector to ensure road safety.
Sekta ya bodaboda ni nguzo muhimu katika uendelezaji wa uchumi wa nchi yetu kwa sababu ya ile kazi mnafanya kazi nzuri sana. Ndio maana serikali imetambua umuhimu wa bodaboda na tuko tayari na tunataka kushirikiana na nyinyi katika kila hatua ambayo tutakuwa tukichukua katika kutusaidia kuendeleza uchumi.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Meteorological Department has teamed up with community weather forecasters in an effort to integrate traditional and scientific methods of weather prediction. Kenya Meteorological Department Director in charge of Isiolo County, John Njue, said the integration is aimed to enhancing the usage of downscaled climate and weather information.
We compare and build up consensus, that is, we integrate both the scientific forecast and the traditional forecast and see whether they can agree.
And Loporos Primary School in Maralal, Samburu County has been closed temporarily after a teacher tested positive for COVID-19. Samburu County Education Officer Alan Omondi said the closure is to allow for a fumigation exercise, adding that learners in grade 4 and standard 8 are expected back in school after 48 hours on the advice of the Ministry of Health officials.
The public health wanted to take the samples of the teachers first, then thereafter they'll move for the children.
Elsewhere, the family of a 15-year-old girl from Ongito, Nyatike sub-county in Migori County is seeking justice after she was allegedly defiled and impregnated by a pastor. The Class 7 pupil is threatening to take her own life, citing humiliation and frustrations. According to Nyatike sub-county Children's Officer Joyce Atieno, the suspect has already been arrested and is expected to be arraigned in court. And in Taita Taveta County, residents of Lesesia in Taveta sub-county are calling on the Ministry of Lands to investigate a group of unscrupulous land brokers who are duping locals to sell their lands. The residents are alleging that the brokers enjoy the protection of some rogue officers at Taveta police station to carry out their clandestine operations.
Anatoa title deed. Na sijui hizo title deed anatoa wapi? Na mainasi serikali yetu anaenda kipewa title deed. Zinatoka wapi?
Anafanya biashara na kwa mgongo wa CID. CID sasa ndio wanadili hapa, si Kenya Police.
Finally, residents of Gembe South and Gembe North sub-counties are decrying the poor state of roads in the region, which they claim has curtailed their movement. They are now calling on the county government to address the issue urgently by ensuring that there are proper drainage systems.
Katika area kuna makanisa, kuna nyumba za kulala, kuna hata shule. Lakini wakati kumenyesha, hata watoto kupitia hii area kwenda shule inakuwa ngumu. Hata sisi wenyewe kutoka ni ngumu.
Wycliffe Okech, Channel 1 News.
Further afield, U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has announced the teams he will use to ensure a smooth transition in January 2021. Some 500 appointees will work with the various federal agencies to prepare for a Biden move into the White House on January 20.
United States President-elect Joe Biden has announced the teams he will use to ensure a smooth transition in January Some 500 staff will work with federal agencies to prepare for the Biden White House. President Donald Trump still refuses to admit defeat, making unsubstantiated claims of fraud. Biden has termed Trump's refusal to accept defeat as an embarrassment. Results from the states of Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina, and Alaska are yet to be received. In Tanzania, the opposition presidential candidate in last month's disputed general elections has left the country for Belgium, where until recently he had been receiving medical treatment after a 2017 assassination attempt. Tundu Lissu sought refuge at the German ambassador's residence in Dar es Salaam last week, citing threats to his life. The Chadema party leader and a number of his colleagues had been arrested since the 28th October polls as members of another opposition party, ACT Wazalendo. Police accused them of planning unlawful protests and sedation. Some in Chadema were accused of planning to blow up petrol stations and markets in Dar es Salaam. Finally, the world's longest-serving Prime Minister, Prince Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa of Bahrain, has died aged 84. Prince Khalifa, who took office after Bahrain gained independence in 1971, had been receiving treatment at a hospital in the United States. The prince was regarded by some as a hardliner, and his removal was demanded by pro-democracy protesters during a failed Arab Spring uprising in 2011. Analysts say the choice of his successor will signal whether Bahrain, which recently agreed to normalize relations with Israel, is looking to chart a new course.
In business, 2 Senate committees have rejected the Tea Industry Regulations 2020, recommending that the new rules be annulled. The Senate Committee on Delegated Legislation and the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries noted that some of the functions assigned to the Agriculture and Food Authority are devolved functions. Views by key stakeholders were ignored, and that the regulations would interfere with the internal affairs of private companies. Elsewhere, the government is coming up with incubation centers for small businesses in all constituencies, in efforts to grow small and medium enterprises. Industrialization and Trade Chief Administrative Secretary Lawrence Karanja says such support to small businesses would help them to reach their full potential, as they are the backbone of the economy.
The Central Bank of Kenya indicates that 98% of businesses in Kenya are small and medium enterprises. Despite their high number, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics reports that about 400,000 SMEs are choked to death, with over 90% of them not seeing their second birthday. It is against this backdrop that the government has taken to providing support to the small businesses by creating incubation centers in all constituencies. The centers would be instrumental in providing relevant business information to the traders. In addition, the government plans to equip such incubation centers with common use machineries to deliver their services.
We have been working with through our agencies, that is KIE, Kenya Industrial Estate, and Small and Micro Entrepreneur, Small and Micro Enterprise Authority, to come up with incubation centers, small industrial centers, Juakari sheds, which are assisting the small and micro entrepreneurs. We are trying to do that in each and every constituency in Kenya. We have done in 160 constituencies, so that we can support the small and micro entrepreneurs by providing them with common use machineries.
The launch of the Kenya Railways Container Freight Station in Nairobi will enable small traders pick their goods from the city center, as opposed to the port of Mombasa or inland container depot in Embakasi, Nairobi.
Sasa container ambaye ni consolidated itakuwa inakuja mpaka hapa. KRA inaletwa hapa na Kenya Railways. KRA wanaifungua hiyo container hapa. Mizigo inatolewa, inawekwa kwa shed, kila mtu na mizigo yake. We ukuje ulipe kodi yako, uchukue mizigo yako, uendelee na biashara yako.
The transit shed at the city center is expected to serve 7,500 small traders in Nairobi and its environs. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Moving on, the construction of MWACHE multipurpose dam is on course to start in March 2021. The 20 billion shillings project is meant to harness the flood water from MWACHE River Basin in Kinango sub-county and help tackle persistent water shortages in the coastal region.
MWACHE multipurpose dam is expected to put 2,600 hectares of land in Kwale County under irrigation, as well as offer water for domestic use. The dam, which features an 87.5-meter tall concrete gravity dike, is projected to have a capacity to hold 118 million cubic meters of water for irrigation and boost the water supply in Kwale and Mombasa counties.
The purpose of the MWACHE multipurpose dam was to adequately address limitations in terms of water supply to big towns like Mombasa, Kwale, and Kilifi. And we are planned to discharge 186,000 cubic meters of water per day for use in those cities. We will sufficiently have some more reserve in the dam, which we will definitely use for the purpose of food security. This includes fishing. It may also entail some farming activities, so that we also make the communities living around the dam area very food secure.
Coast Development Authority says rehabilitation works on the dam site began in 2017 under the support of the Coast Water Security and Climate Change Resilience Project. Other ongoing activities include tree planting, terracing, contour ploughing, rock terracing, gabion construction and riparian land marking, as well as pegging to allow for the regeneration of natural vegetation.
So far, we have placed close to over 250,000 seedlings were planted within the catchment areas. And that is one of the activities that was primarily our role within the implementation of the MWACHE multipurpose dam.
We have poor farming methods or activities in the locals, so we try to educate them on better farming methods. This in mind is that we have very many tributaries or some small rivers, and even on the main rivers. The community to some areas do their farming up to the riverbanks. This we want to discourage by riparian marking, so that we give a certain distance from the river where no agricultural activities are undertaken.
The Coast Development Authority also targets to increase the forest cover in the MWACHE catchment area that stretches from Taita Taveta County to Kwale. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Elsewhere, Kenya exported 68,000 tons of avocados between January and October 2020, valued at 14 billion shillings. This is a 15.3% increase from the 59,000 tons shipped out during a similar period late last year. This comes as the export of avocados take a break starting this month until February next year. Fresh produce exporters say despite bad publicity surrounding the sector, continuous awareness creation led to an increase in acreage under the crop, pushing up production.
The increase in the volumes and values of the avocado that we have been able to export is simply because the national government, the county government, working with the key stakeholders within the horticulture industry, have continued to raise awareness about the importance of farmers in Kenya growing avocados. And as you drive around this country, you realize that there are more and more farms that are being put under production of avocados.
We have systems. We grow our avocado, we grow our fresh produce in an ethical way, and therefore this negative publicity that we have seen in the recent past needs to stop. And we will not allow any individual to come in and sabotage our business as we grow it together. We have consolidated our industry. This is the only industry that has remained proactive, resilient over time, even including this COVID. We have proved that the horticulture industry is the only industry that has remained robust.
And the Capital Markets Authority is joining 23 regulators across 5 continents to test innovative financial products, services, business models, and regulatory technology. CMA Acting Chief Executive Wycliffe Shamia says the cross-border tests would be conducted under the Global Financial Innovation Network, which is an international network of financial service regulators and related organizations committed to supporting financial innovation. Here are those details and for other stories in our corporate briefs.
The testing of innovative financial products and regulatory technology is part of the Capital Markets Authority's strategy of deepening support for innovative solutions in the capital markets industry. The test environment is designed to give opportunities for regulators to pick lessons from the outcome of the test and apply them in their respective jurisdictions to catalyze innovative financial markets solutions. The Global Financial Innovative Network is inviting applications from the firms to test innovative financial products, business models, or regulatory technology across more than one country or jurisdiction before the end of this year. Meanwhile, Trustmark Insurance Brokers has been awarded as the overall best intermediary of the year in the 2019 UAP Insurance Kenya Annual Intermediaries Awards. UAP Old Mutual Group Chief Executive Officer Arthur Oginga says the awards are designed to not only recognize the top intermediaries but also take leadership in the market to attract and retain top-performing intermediaries.
Our general insurance business has recently introduced new products into the market which have taken off quite well, and Trustmark has been at the forefront of selling some of those new products.
And LG Electronics, in partnership with OpalNet Limited, has opened its 4th branch shop in Kilimani, Nairobi County, amid a 20% increase in consumer demand.
Last year, actually Kenya, the demand for the TV was 32 and 43 inch full HD, but now it's totally changed. Now the UHD of the 55 inch is the mainstream. So every year people demand is now changing, and they are looking for the more premium products.
An increase in disposable income, a growing middle class, and a preference for smart electronics and appliances has led to an increase in demand for electronics.
In sports, Masood Juma netted a second-half goal that helped Harambee Stars salvage a 1-1 draw against Comoros in a 2021 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON qualifier match that was played this evening at the Kasarani Stadium. The return leg is slated for this Sunday in Comoros.
There are 3 players who are giving Kenyans a hard time. That is
Harambee Stars' hopes of registering their first win in the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON qualifier melted once again after registering a 3rd consecutive draw. Stars under the tutelage of Jacob Gosmule needed a win to put them at the top of Group G, but were forced to concede after Comoros took the lead in the first half through Bakari Said.
From scoring. Here is a shot! Oh, the goalkeeper goes to the wrong side, takes a little deflection and goes into the net and elicits a celebration all round the stadium. Yes, from everyone from Comoros. The goalkeeper certainly wrong-footed in that one. Arnold Origi will probably look for who to blame in this one. And of course, the top dignitary of Comoros will be celebrating that goal.
Comoros were down to 10 men after Mohamed Yusuf was red-carded in the dying minutes of the first half. Harambee Stars grabbed an equalizer through Masood Juma to make it 1-1.
Here is a chance and the Harambee Stars have equalized. Cuba. The pressure pays off for our stars. Yes, the goalkeeper is tired and he's probably telling himself, I did so much, I couldn't do any more than I had at that moment. And something was bound to crumble at that point.
Attention now focuses on the second leg that will be staged in Comoros this Sunday. The Stars are scheduled to travel to Comoros this Friday. Frederick Moki for Channel 1 Sports.
Hoping our boys will do better on Sunday. Elsewhere, Boxing Federation of Kenya, BFK, has confirmed that Kenya will not feature in the East Africa Bingwa wa Mabingwa Championship that is slated for December in Tanzania. Federation Secretary General David Monuhe has said Kenya has pulled out of the event owing to the rising cases of coronavirus in the country. Focus is now on the second round Olympic qualification that will be held in France.
Preparations are in top gear of the national boxing team that is preparing for upcoming minor and major international championships.
My expectation, I can say, is to actually make it to qualify to the Olympic Games, because I'm looking towards that. So I'm building now to make sure I get the ticket.
Andalizi yamekuwa poa, watu wameanza kurecover, kila kitu inaenda poa, speed watu wameongeza, hewa, endurance.
Tunafanya both aerobic and anaerobic. So naweza sema tuko fit, ready for the game.
Believe it, dream it and make it happen. Whereby due to the training that we have undergone, I believe that we are going to have many who will join us in Tokyo.
So right now I'm witnessing a very difficult time trying to get these guys back to where they were in some time in February after the Dakar qualifiers. But I'm sure with time, God willing, this thing will go away and we'll be able to go back to our usual pace and we'll be there.
Number one, fitness was not there, physically and mentally. But now, as we have been embarking on the training, we have seen positive signs.
Of course, we need more. We need more qualification. We don't need all. We have only 2 already. We need, like, if possible, all of them. Respect and hardworking. That's all I can say. Just respect what coach is telling you. Then do whatever you can do. Hard work.
After 2 of the national team boxers qualified for the Olympics in Tokyo 2021, this team will be seeking to show an impressive performance during the second round of qualifiers that is slated for France early next year. Reporting for Channel 1 Sports from Nairobi, my name is Frederick Moki.
And on that boxing note, we wrap up Channel 1 News Hour on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching. Simon Karuda has been our sign language interpreter for this evening. Allow me to just, because of the interest of time, to just big up Stanley Samoe, who was watching, John Hamisi was watching, Peter Brown was watching from Moyale, Alfin Kirui, and Njue was watching from Kenyatta Road, Juja. My name is Ben Troy Njue. Simon Karuda has been our sign language interpreter for this evening. Good night.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. I hope you're well today. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. Just like yesterday, the only region that is tonight experiencing dry weather conditions is the northwestern parts of the country. The rest of the country has been covered with wet conditions, and in the capital, there are showers over several places. This is also affecting counties around Nairobi, and similar scenario is being experienced over the southeastern lowlands, affecting Machakos, Makindu, and Voi. Tomorrow, waking up to some intervals in the capital. It will also be sunny in Lodwar, Marsabit, Garissa, Sololo, Basically, the northern parts of the country will mainly experience sunny intervals, but there will be rains over a few places in Mandera. There will also be rains over a few places in Meru and Nyeri. The Lake Basin region will mainly experience sunny intervals, but it will rain in Kisumu and especially around the lake. The coastal strip will experience scattered wet conditions. And then Machakos, Makindu, Voi will experience light rains, and in the afternoon, a different scenario, one that we have not experienced in a while. Basically, this year, we have not experienced such a scenario. Wet conditions across the country, and these wet conditions will be of high intensity over the Lake Basin region and western sector. There will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms, and it will affect several places. The coastal strip will also experience showers, and counties around Garissa will experience cloudy conditions, but there will be showers in Garissa. The only region that will experience dry conditions during the afternoon hours will be the northwestern parts of the country, and that will affect Lodwar, Samburu, and counties around the area. Let's have a look at temperatures, and this is it. Mandera will experience highs of 36 degrees Celsius. Interestingly, temperatures are going up. Nairobi will experience highs of 24 degrees Celsius, and for you in Kisumu, be prepared for highs of 28 degrees Celsius. Let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Rain or shine, be warm.